Muslim apologists try all sorts of gymnastics and hyperbolic reinterpretations to convince gullible Muslims that the Quran agrees with modern science. However, the model of the universe that the Quran portrays is precisely the one you are seeing here. Quran's concepts are either inspired or directly borrowed from ancient myths, specifically the Sumerian and the Babylonian. Some of these are: in the beginning, heavens and earth were joined together, 6 or 7 days of creation, 7 heavens and 7 earth, sky is a roof with invisible pillars, lowest heaven adorned with stars, the flat earth concept, and the earth centered or geocentric model of the universe. These were popular concepts that existed way before the Quran came into existence, and I will provide evidences. By the way, the number 7, which we find repeated over and over, was a very important number in the Mesopotamian or Sumerian culture, and as expected, we find its presence in the Quran. Anyhow, let's go through these bullet points one by one. The Epic of Gilgamesh is an epic ancient Sumerian poem and is often regarded as the earliest surviving great work of literature. Gilgamesh was the king of Uruk, and this book dates back to 2100 BC. We can read the book online from Oxford University's Sumerian Literature Collection. It talks about the separation of the heavens and the earth. The Metropolitan Museum of Art writes the following about the Epic of Gilgamesh creation story. A Sumerian myth known today as Gilgamesh and the Netherworld opens with a mythological prologue. It assumes that the gods and the universe already exist and that once a long time ago, the heavens and the earth were united, only later to be split apart. Now, Surah 21 verse 30 says, "Do not the unbelievers see that the heavens and the earth were joined together before we clove them asunder?" So, Quran has simply borrowed the Gilgamesh story. And by the way, this is the famous Big Bang verse in the Quran. Hence, as per the Quran, this is how it all started. There is another very important aspect which critics of Quran often miss. In the Quran, heavens and the earth appear as a unit and is repeated over and over. These are just a few examples. This is not just the Quran. Most of these ancient texts like Epic of Gilgamesh or Enuma Elish have the same pattern. Will you ever hear a scientist saying something like the earth and the universe? Never, because it is like saying something like the man and the pinky toenail. The earth is nothing but an insignificant speck of dust in the astronomical context. Just like the pinky toenail is a part of the human body, not separate from it, the earth is also a part of the universe system, not separate from it. In fact, the earth is far less significant than the pinky toenail in the astronomical context. Enuma Elish, also known as the Seven Tablets of Creation, is an ancient Babylonian creation myth that dates back to 1800 BC. It is the first creation myth that talks about 7 days of creation. This concept also appears in the book of Genesis, where the seventh day is God's rest day. The author of the Quran was unhappy with the concept that God needs to take rest and hence dropped the seventh day altogether. This book, titled Mesopotamian Cosmic Geography, has a chapter on 7 heavens and 7 earths. In ancient Mesopotamian language, there was a popular phrase, An imin bi, ki imin bi, which means the heavens are 7 and the earths are 7. The concept of seven heavens is also found in Hinduism, Jainism, and of course Judaism. It is a very old idea based on the seven celestial bodies: Moon, Mercury, Venus, Sun, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Surah 65:12 has simply plagiarized the idea of seven heavens and seven earths. What a shame. Verses 40, 64 and 21:32 clearly mention that the sky is a protected roof or ceiling, while verse 41:12 mentions that the nearest heaven is adorned with lamps. Here, lamps refer to stars. This research article was published by the Royal Asiatic Society and is titled "The Shape of the Cosmos According to the Cuneiform Sources." Cuneiform is an ancient writing system. The article is on the description of cosmos in ancient Mesopotamian texts. Let's focus here. The lowest of the heavens, according to the text, was that of the stars. It was composed of jasper and had the constellations of the gods drawn upon it. This is the starry sky that we see overhead, the nearest of the three heavens to our terrestrial portion of the cosmos. It can be likened to a roof or a canopy over the earth, for the term canopy of heaven was applied to the sky in some cuneiform texts. So Quran has been again caught plagiarizing from ancient Mesopotamian texts. This article titled Gates and Pillars of Heaven mentioned the following. In Greek, Egyptian, or Near Eastern traditions and art, cosmos presents an architectural structure possessing foundations, pillars, walls, floor, and roof. The Greek as the Near Eastern cultures imagined world as a tripartite structure. The underworld as cosmic basement was similar to a citadel with monumental gates and was surrounded by cosmic walls, etc. Let's see what it writes about, say, ancient Egypt. Egyptian sources and iconography are frequented also by cosmic pillars sustaining the celestial plane. In hieroglyphics, they are often depicted as four supports in Y form. According to the Egyptian tradition, heaven's supports are located at the world's extreme ends, which are identified with the four cardinal points. These four pillars seem to carry at each earth's corner a rectangular flat firmament, probably made of iron. So, the novelty aspect in the Quran is that the author of the Quran made the pillars invisible to humans' eyes. That's it. There are so many verses in the Quran which strongly endorse the flat earth concept, like earth is spread out flat, and has given analogy of earth with that of a bed or a carpet. The tafsir of one of the most famous Islamic scholar Al-Jalalain clearly mentions that the earth is flat. While ignorant desert dwellers of the 7th century Arabia thought that the earth is flat, the spherical shape of the earth was discovered way before by the Greek polymath Eratosthenes. Eratosthenes even calculated the circumference of the earth with high precision. Just Google the name. Ptolemy and Aristotle's geocentric model was the common understanding during the 7th century. However, the Quranic picture is far more primitive because the geocentric model that Quran describes has a flat earth. But even ancient Greeks and Romans used spherical earth, thanks to Eratosthenes. Now, Surah 21 verse 33 reads, And he it is who has created the night and the day, and the sun and the moon, each in an orbit floating. Hence, night floats in an orbit, day floats in an orbit, sun floats in an orbit, and the moon floats in an orbit. So, as per the Quran, day and night are physical entities that can orbit the earth. The author of the Quran is clueless about the fact that the presence of sun leads to daylight. These all show an extremely primitive understanding of the solar system. Now, modern Muslim apologists try to get into a hyperbole that here sun's orbit is about the center of the Milky Way galaxy. I have already made a video debunking this claim. What I want to emphasize here is this. Since the Quran didn't define about what object the sun and the moon are orbiting around, it implies that the Quran is going with the common understanding of that time, that is, both the sun and the moon orbit around the earth. If I say something and don't define it properly, that means that I am assuming that people around me already know what I am talking about. Hence, I have proved to you that the Quran has borrowed stuff from ancient myths. Quran has no originality. These were the prevalent understanding amongst the 7th century desert dwellers. Muhammad was a good salesman and wanted to sound credible, so he sold to his fellow Arabs things that they already knew and accepted, with an additional aspect that it came from the Almighty, all knowing Allah. There were still some smart fellows out there who ridiculed salesman Muhammad by saying that he is simply recycling old stories. The Quran itself proves my point that Muhammad was recycling popular myths.